Welcome to Magic Arcanum. I'm Ryan Gomez, and I'm so glad you're here because it is story time. Our What's Happening on Ravnica video crossed 40,000 views recently, which is awesome. I had a lot to be thankful for over the holiday break. I'm so glad you guys are enjoying these videos, and I appreciate all the feedback and comments. I really do read every one of them, so keep them coming. So we already set the stage for the Magic story on Ravnica. So this week, I want to talk about the hero characters. Who are we rooting for? Who are the good guys? Who stands between Nicol Bolas and his assured victory? The answer is 5 teenagers with attitude. What? Oh, it's a different group of 5 color-coded heroes. Okay. Wow. Now, the real answer is the Gatewatch, a handful of planeswalkers who each took an oath to defend the multiverse from, just about everything, and we're going to cover all that here in just a minute. The group was founded at a place called Seagate, hence the name Gatewatch. Seagate is on Zendikar, and the plane was being attacked by the Eldrazi and in some desperate need of help. How did the Eldrazi get there, you ask? That is a story for another time, so let me know down in the comments if it's one you want to hear. Anyway, a planeswalker named Gideon was the first to come to the aid of Zendikar. So let's talk about him for a minute. Originally from Theros, Gideon's powers include the ability to make himself pretty much immune to damage. And you can see this reflected on almost all of his planeswalker cards, where he can turn himself into an indestructible creature until the end of the turn. As a younger lad, Gideon got a little cocky and attacked one of the gods of Theros. As punishment, that god killed all of Gideon's friends right in front of him. And so began Gideon's lifelong quest of defending the weak, punishing the unjust, and putting everyone else's needs ahead of his own. He would have seen Zendikar falling to the Eldrazi as a personal failure to protect people in need, but he also realized he couldn't defend them all by himself, so he went to Jace for help. Jace at the time was serving as the living guild pact of Ravnica, but Gideon managed to win over his support by pitching it as this giant puzzle that needed to be solved. And of course, Jace couldn't resist, so off he went. Jace is from a plane called Vryn, and he excels at all of the mind stuff. He can make illusions, he can make people forget things. He's just a really smart, tricky guy. Returning to Zendikar, Gideon and Jace ran into Nissa, an elf and a native of the plane, who was also kind of responsible for the Eldrazi being let loose. Man, I'm gonna have to tell that whole story someday. Nissa is an animist. She can turn the land of any plane that she's on into an elemental creature, and her magic works especially well on Zendikar, where she has access to Ashaya, a very powerful elemental native to that plane. Anyway, those 3 planeswalkers got some last-minute help from Chandra, who initially didn't want to get involved, but she did show up at the last minute to help them kill 2 Eldrazi Titans and win the battle for Zendikar. Chandra is from Kaladesh, and her powers include fire, burning, and flames. And yes, I know that is kind of one note, but I still like her more than Vivian Reed. So in the wake of what they accomplished by working together, those 4 planeswalkers, that's Gideon, Jace, Nissa, and Chandra, each took an oath. These were all captured as legendary enchantments in Oath of the Gatewatch. And while the flavor on each one's a little bit different, the idea behind them is all the same, that these characters are going to pledge themselves to protect the multiverse from all sorts of threats. Their second stop was Innistrad, which was experiencing some really spooky stuff. And for a plane where it's basically Halloween every day, that's kind of saying a lot. A planeswalker named Nihiri was summoning Emrakul, the Eldrazi Titan, to Innistrad as punishment on Sorin. Sorin is a planeswalker who originally locked away the Eldrazi on Zendikar, which is Nihiri's home. Sorin promised to come back if the Eldrazi ever did escape. They did escape. He did not come back. So Nihiri brought the problem to his doorstep. The newly formed Gatewatch, feeling confident in their Eldrazi slaying powers, jumped in ready to save the day. Only this time, they were way out of their league. Emrakul's mind control powers would have been the end of the Gatewatch were it not for the timely intervention of Liliana, who raised a zombie army to fight back. Turns out you can't control the minds of a bunch of mindless, brain-eating, decaying corpses. Liliana is from Dominaria, and she was originally a healer until she accidentally turned her sick brother into an undead lich. That could happen to anybody. Liliana's zombies held off the assault, but ultimately it was a planeswalker named Tamiyo who sealed Emrakul inside the silver moon of Innistrad, although it wasn't entirely her own choice. Once again, big story. Comment below if you want to hear it. Yada, yada, yada. The Gatewatch offered Tamiyo a spot on their roster. Obviously, she declined, so they turned instead to Liliana, who did accept. Now, I want to point out here that the other 4 original founding members of the Gatewatch all joined up for reasons bigger than themselves. They wanted to protect the multiverse. They want to protect their homes. They want to protect their friends. They want to protect the lifestyle that they'd become accustomed to. Liliana joined because she wanted to use the Gatewatch for selfish reasons. She was beholden to a contract she made with 4 demons, and she figured the Gatewatch would be strong enough to help her kill them and free herself from that contract. So for her own selfish reasons, Liliana took the oath and got her own card in Eldritch Moon to commemorate the occasion. And this is the first era of the Gatewatch. 5 members, 1 for each color of magic, all united in purpose, more or less. They had just killed or exiled 3 Eldrazi Titans and had saved 2 planes from sure destruction. What could possibly stand in their way? Word of their successes got around, and eventually the group was invited to Kaladesh by a planeswalker named Dovin Baan. He wanted them to serve as a sort of security team during this big inventors fair that was coming up. There, the group encountered Tezzeret, who was working for Nicol Bolas when he stole all the inventions and kidnapped all their inventors at the fair. And this is where Ajani gets involved. He's a Leonin, it's a type of cat person. He had some friends on Kaladesh and was pretty protective of them, so he teamed up with the Gatewatch to help them rescue all the inventors. They save the day, but not before Tezzeret can escape with the Planar Bridge. That's one of the 2 most important artifacts in the Magic story at the moment. The other one is the Immortal Sun, and we cover both of them in the video What's Happening on Ravnica. So make sure you go and watch that one if you haven't done so already. Ajani recognizes that the next step is to go after Nicol Bolas directly, so he takes the oath and joins the Gatewatch, bringing their numbers up to 6. But he also tells them that they need to recruit more allies before they take the fight straight to Nikki B. Liliana is eager to get rid of her demons, and she urges the group to press onward instead of waiting for Ajani to get more help. So she wins, and Gideon, Jace, Nissa, Chandra, and Liliana head to Amonkhet, a plane known to be under the control of Nicol Bolas and home to Razaketh, one of Liliana's remaining demons. So of course Nicol Bolas shows up and he fights the 5 of them. I don't know if you've ever seen the Harlem Globetrotters dunk on the Washington Generals, but that's pretty much what happens here. And you feel a little bad for the losing team, the Gatewatch in this case. But they kind of deserve it because they showed up for work that day and they knew what they were getting themselves into. Anyway, Nicol Bolas very easily defeats the Gatewatch and gives each member their own personal send-off as captured in the so-and-so's defeat cycle. After that battle, the group was scattered. Jace wound up trapped on Ixalan, and you can hear more about his adventures in the video Who is Vraska? The rest of the Gatewatch managed to make their way to Dominaria, and Nissa was furious that Liliana managed to drag them all into a fight with a demon, so she decided her time was going to be better spent helping Zendikar recover from the Eldrazi invasion, and off she went. This is shown on the card Broken Bond, and that's important because it's the first time someone's left the Gatewatch, bringing their count back down to 5 members. Chandra also felt discouraged after the outcome of Amonkhet, but she didn't quit the group. She just went off to train more. So that leaves Liliana and Gideon on Dominaria, and surely someday I will do what happened on Dominaria. That day is not today. Trying to keep the focus here on the Gatewatch. So Liliana still has a demon left on her contract, and Gideon, being the good guy he is, didn't want her to face it alone. So the 2 of them went off to fight Belzenlock. Along the way, they meet a time mage named Teferi. Teferi has a huge history on Dominaria, but there are two things you should probably know. Number one, he is like the most powerful card in Standard right now. And number two, that makes a lot of sense in the story because he helps them defeat Belzenlok, and he takes it one step further. He even agrees to assist the Gatewatch in further missions. He takes the oath and becomes their 7th member, although currently only 6th because we lost Nissa. And that number is about to drop again. With the 4 demons dead, Liliana thought she would be freed of her contract. She should have read the fine print. The contract defaulted to Nicol Bolas, effectively enslaving Liliana to him. This is captured in the totally awesome card In Bolas's Clutches, which should be in every Nicol Bolas commander-themed deck ever. So Liliana was forced to planeswalk away, and that confused Gideon. He thinks there's still good in her, but the rest of the group took it to mean she was only ever interested in herself. None of them know Liliana does want to help, but she'll be killed by Nicol Bolas if she does. This tension should be really interesting as we head into the future battles on Ravnica. By this point in the story, Chandra had returned, and she tried to get Jaya and Karn to also join the Gatewatch. The two of them declined, although they did pledge to offer their support for the time being. Jace had also finished his side quest on Ixalan, so now the whole Gatewatch is heading to Ravnica to face Nicol Bolas once again. Their current roster includes Gideon, Jace, Chandra, Ajani, and Teferi. Liliana is also on their side, but is powerless to help them. They also have a hidden ally in Vraska if Jace can reach her and restore her memories. Karn and Jaya will support them as well, and there may be other planeswalkers Ajani was able to recruit during the events on Dominaria that we didn't get to see. And remember, Vivian Reed is out there somewhere too. And that's it. That is everything about the Gatewatch I can tell you leading up to Ravnica in one video. This team gets a lot of heat. They're jokingly referred to as the Justice League. I kind of like them though. I think having this big team up of all these great heroes really lets you raise the stakes and tell some dramatic stories. After Nicol Bolas is dealt with, we'll probably go back to telling smaller, more personal stories, and the Gatewatch will be put on the back burner for a while, but for now, they are the stars of the whole Magic show. So what do you think? Will Gideon, Jace, Chandra, Teferi, Ajani be able to defeat Nicol Bolas? Will they recruit enough extra help to get it done? Will they rescue Liliana? Will they earn back Nissa's trust? Share your thoughts in the comments down below, and then do me a favor, like this video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the great stories you'll only find here on Magic Arcanum. I'll see ya!